Good evening, and welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't Africans, the Think Show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so called African American didn't find his or her way to America in the trunk of a ship. I'm your host, the Indigenous One. And a lot of times, I think I get mistaken. A lot of times, people don't like what I say because they don't, whatever reason, and they find to try to place this mean label on me. And it's not that I'm being mean. We got to stop being stupid. And a lot of times we do stuff, we know we shouldn't be doing it, but we do the shit anyway. And we're arrogant about it. A lot of times we do stuff, we know we shouldn't be. And we're arrogant about it. We're arrogant about it. So this young man writes me a letter, and I want to share it with you guys. And this is what I'm saying. If you got something to say, if you have something to add to the conversation, I'm putting the link to the chat in the mail. We love to hear from you. I don't know. You might be the person that comes up with an alternative to air conditioner, or we don't have to use electricity. I don't know. To make life better for everybody, because that's what we're here for. You, me, mama, the lady down the street. We're here to make life better for everybody. And so that's what we're going to do. Copper Color Lifestyle, how you doing? Copper Color Lifestyle, it's because of people like you I do what I do. For real. So I'm thankful for you. The letter this young man wrote. Oh, Lisa's in the wings too. I gotta let her simmer because she pissed. Check out how this dude comes across and how everything he says don't make no sense. And this is what I'm saying. This is what I mean. We can't keep being like this, not knowing nothing. And this dude got to be 30 years old, at least. Check out what this cat says. I invited him on tonight. Hopefully he can make it. KD, on your episode Fictitious Identities, Lisa used the word Negro to describe American Indians and equally claims Black has no standing or is fictitious. According to Etymology Online, Negro is Black. One cannot have it both ways. Lisa is adding to the confusion by using or calling Americans Indians Negro. You melanin is brown. Our complexion or pigmentation is red, brown, brass, dark brown, mahogany, brunette, blah, 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 blah. Then he gives a link to the Etymology Online with the word Negro. Now, this is what I mean. Dude, come on. I'm not going to even, just the insult. One cannot have it both ways. You're not talking about nothing. And this is what I mean about how we're always confusing these kids, always telling them bullshit, always lying to them, and then acting like that's not what we do. This is what we do. Lisa is adding to the confusion by using or calling American Indians Negro. I'm going to let her explain that. But this is what I mean, y'all. This is where we at. None of it. Nobody.
Well, Jay Smith is in the house, so I know people are sick of me and they want to hear from Jay Smith. We get a lot of nasty little.
Y'all not sister, Lisa, huh?
Jay, let Jay speak, because I'll come in later.
Jay Smith.
What I will say in my defense of this dumb letter about the fictitious identities, if you watch the video, I showed actual court records. Like, we're dealing with historical court records, and he's talking about I'm confusing people. I'm using court records. This is not a etymology dictionary. Dictionary can be created by any Joe Smo who wants to write a dictionary. Any colonizer who wants to define things can write a dictionary. That's either today online or yesterday in print. You didn't have to be a scholar or some, hoity-toity to write a dictionary. You still don't have to. So what is a dictionary? What does that mean? Colonizers use dictionary because they want to write what they want the truth to be. So you trusting an online dictionary or an 1828 or 1728 dictionary is still you listening to the colonizer's definition. What I was using was court records so that you can actually analyze what the Negro was, how they were living, what their rights were, what they were able to do in the real world. That's application. That's historical. That's using history in the actual time that it was happening and applying it and analyzing it. That's on a whole different level than looking up something online or in a dictionary. That's low level. That's low level. The other thing you have to understand is that because the way I'm living, I'm in a lawsuit using my ancestral daggone history, my DNA, my bloodline, my genealogy, court records, land records. I use all of that in my court case. You're not doing that, whoever wrote the letter, I'm assuming, because if you were, you would know that in order to litigate, you have to use the terminology that described your people at the time, that you're applying the law. If I'm applying a law or a court record or a decree that was made in 1670, I'm using that terminology, boo. I'm not going to call them African American. I'm not going to call them whatever. I'm going to use the terminology of the record. That is the document I'm going to present. And my job is to make sure that they know that I can prove that this Indian listed is my ancestor, that these people listed are my nation.
So, Lisa, that's a whole lot different than us just putting off feathers, pretending that we're Indians and may not even be the Indians that we're trying to pretend to be.
And fighting over things that you're not even in a position, you're not even actually fighting for anything. And on that level that you're going to argue with me and try to come at me negatively. You don't even know the context. You probably don't even know who you daggone talking to. Okay, first of all, you don't know how I'm moving in this world, what I'm doing. You probably don't know anything of that. But if you knew, then you'd still see how foolish this is. And the people that are pushing this, I'm not, don't call myself Indian, that's a colonizer term. Everything you're speaking in English. You're speaking in English. Twas no nemat. You're not. What are you? What are you saying? Are you speaking in your language or are you speaking in someone else's language? Because you're acting like you don't even speak English, the way you're just casting away the terminology that describes your daggone ancestors. You should embrace whatever they are called, because, honey, that's actually money in the bank. You cannot litigate without using the terminology of the time period. Okay, I'm gonna step back.
Yeah, but and what got me is when he said you're adding to the confusion when you're really unraveling it. Mr. J. Smith, what's going on, homie?
Greetings, everybody in the room. Thanks for having me. I'm doing good. I have to agree with Lisa on that, and I agree with you what you're saying because what Lisa's doing, she's just unraveling, unpacking, but she's going down timelines. You have to go back as far back as to the original to follow the trail of what they were doing all this time. This is a very interesting subject, paper genocide. I'm going to be straightforward with this. I really hate paperwork. I really do, but I know that you do it because that's the only method and language they understand.
What,
And
what, why do you hate it?
well, because we're using a language that's basically a bastardized language. It's employed and used by liars anyway. I mean, the language is not even mathematically correct. To have one word that have multiple definitions, what do you call that? You know, it's not it's not actually really determining who's the liar here when you really have it set up like that. So that's why I hate it. I should not have to tell you 1,000 words to tell you no, you know? So
Right.
that's why I said what I said. But
So do you see that where we get caught up in that a lot, just the confusion of the language, like this young man who wrote this email did?
yeah, the way I read into that what he's trying to say, but he's kind of pinning it on Lisa when in actuality these are the things that was done when these I'm going to use a term that I intended to use because there was something I was going to show later, but I'm going to be listening on the side for a little while. But these third party interlopers that came in and started to you know colonize, and they had a conquering mentality and disrespect for nature and disrespect for their own women. So that's what we're dealing with. So he's actually correct only on the fact that the Spanish language uses Negro to express black, but Lisa's just unpacking that in terms of timelines of what they called us.
Not just black, but dark. You know what I mean? And not just dark. And also, the word is not just a descriptor; it's a status. That's the other thing. So, see, like we kind of like want to make things one dimensional. We're not one dimensional, and neither are these words or and how they were used. And the negras, negro. That's not just a descriptor as black. It's a descriptor as dark. It's a descriptor as indigenous, and it's a descriptor as also a conquered or a worker or a servant or a slave. So I mean, like that's the thing. I mean, we want to pack everything up into a neat little etymology online definition. I don't know if that's a male thing where you just want to make it neat and convenient, but life is not neat and convenient. There's a lot of different aspects, colors to this, and you have to know what you're, like I said, exactly what time frame, what the application is before you go ahead and just go. And this is the thing. Historically, you don't throw anything out that has anything to do with your ancestors because everything can be utilized for your fight for what is yours. And if you sit up there and say, "Oh, I didn't do this. We didn't look like," what do you mean you didn't walk around without shirts on? People are walking around with shirts on now. Like when it's summertime, there's going to be a whole lot of people all around the hot summer South without a shirt that are male. So, like, to sit up there and act like, certain images aren't you, that you was all walking around with daggone 10-piece suits on with top hats and canes all year round. Come on now. Just like now, we got people that live outside and go to toilet in buckets, okay? People have different ways of living, even today. When you look back, you also have to keep that in mind. We had millions of people who were landowners, farmers, wealthy, slave owners, millions. That's not to say there weren't people walking around with, doing the work. I mean, we're not monolithic. So, I mean, I don't know why people want to just like make it all convenient. That's just for us. To me, it's very simple minded. Why you got to have it so simple? You can't handle it. You can't handle the variety. You can't handle the diversity. You can't handle the fact that you have to. It's a lot more complicated than that. It's not all neat and convenient. You see? And like, he said he gonna be without his shirt. You know what I mean? This is the thing. Being comfortable in nature, or being comfortable in your skin, or having the sun on your skin, that's not primitive. What do you think? It's like people are ashamed of images of people. That's why I use Jim Crow and all that. And Jim Crow, and they're going, Indians that are, wearing just a loincloth or whatever, and a brother that's in a suit. What does it matter? You disrespecting whatever? We got all of that. We got all of that in our culture. And you're going to have to understand at any given time, your people could have been any of those three, or all of them at the same time.
Or brothers.
Right. You know that. You know how families go.
You were talking earlier about how they're trying to keep us away from our inheritance. Could you share that with the audience, please?
I mean, I don't understand anyone who would actually promote or teach this kind of thinking that, I'm not a Negro, I'm not a Black, I'm not a... Okay, this is what I am. I am my ancestors, period. I go around saying that to, whatever kind of colonizers I have to deal with in Virginia every time I have the opportunity. I am my ancestors. When you're dealing with me, you're dealing with my ancestors. I am those same people. What they fought for me. What I'm claiming what's mine. And then whether they called me Negro, or they called my great-grandfather mulatto or colored, whether they called them whatever. In that record, I can link myself to that Negro. In those records, I can link myself to those Indians. In that record, I can link myself to that colored person, whatever they are called. I will link myself to them, and let me tell you, you will not shake me from them. Do you understand the purpose of the colonizers' recording of things and books is so they can record their lies, so that they can put down what they want the truth to be? They still do that, y'all. They put down what they want the truth. They use these books, online or otherwise, to project the truth they want to see, not the truth that is. That's why when in my court case, I put out there that I'm a Bagwell, because I'm not suing about my Bagwells. I'm suing about other people, things, other family. But I wanted to put it out there because I'm just maybe a bit of a jerk. But I also wanted to let them know that there's other things, there are other lawsuits coming, right? And when I did that, ooh boy, the colonizers got alarmed, right? They it was, they were, they put the alarms out, boo. Alarms were clanking, okay? And why did they do that? Because Bagwell is clearly an Indian. He's recorded in records as being Indian, and they wanted to write a book. So my court case filed in 2001. 2002, May, they come out with a book about who? Henry Bagwell. He's not famous. There's no reason to write a book about my ancestor. He had a lot of land. That's it, right? But they wrote a whole book about my ancestor. Why? because they want to create their version of the truth. So you don't understand how real this thing is. You're not living in day-to-day application of who defines what and who's trying to be who and how they're trying to misclassify you and steal your identity. You're not living this. You're not living this. I may be an asshole. I don't know. Maybe I am. But I'm an asshole who's doing a real thing and I know what I'm talking about. I'm not just making stuff up to confuse people.
You're not an asshole.
Where I am may be confusing people because you're not where I am. So you can't relate to where I am, my thinking, because I'm applying things that you don't have to apply. That's what may be the problem. You don't have to apply your ancestors' records to your life. You don't have to fight people. Well, I don't have to fight people, but I choose to. You know, I choose to because it's my damn right and it's my heritage. You're not taking my crap away from me. You're not taking my inheritance away from me. It's my inheritance. And I won't let them take that away from me. They're not getting that. So sorry. They're not going to get that. So that's what I'm doing. I'm applying my inheritance. Let me see. I'm actually applying my actual genealogy to my life to fight for my inheritance. Everybody's not doing that. And so you don't relate to it. And I understand you're not relating to it, but I'm not confusing people, man. I'm trying to enlighten you. I'm trying to get you to see what you can really be. So this is what happened. This is a local paper. This is the lady I confronted. I don't know if I have the video, but I don't have it ready to go. But, some of you might have seen it on YouTube. I'll first see if I can find it and share it. But anyway, I confronted her in person. She's not even the real writer. Clearly, when I met her in person and showed her presentation, she didn't write this book. And Margaret Ann Rice, she's a British person they had front this book that the people on the Eastern Shore, the daggone colonizers, clavern colonizers of the Eastern Shore had a book written to write me out of my people out of existence as being the descendants of this man who was clearly an Indian. You see, I got real fights I got to deal with. Okay, it's not fictitious here. I'm not playing make-believe. I'm not, on the internet for your entertainment. I got real stuff going on. So me and this lady, we had to have a daggone showdown in person in front of folks, okay, on the daggone Eastern Shore when she did a daggone reading of this fake daggone book. My people, the Accomacs, Thomas Patterson in particular, got down and dirty with the book and with their fake historical documents, and we debunked all of that. I had huge poster boards. I debunked this entire fictitious book, okay? That's real. It's not online entomology. It's not that kind of fake stuff, It's not just, it's a hobby. I'm learning about me being an indigenous person. Nah. It's real life application of real historical facts. And that's why when I busted out my book of all the free Bagwells that owned slaves and had land that were classified as what? Black. Yeah, you got to use whatever term it is. So what I'm going to do? I'm going to let them take everything that's mine because I'm unwilling to use the terminology that applies to my ancestors at any given time. That's what I'm going to do, according to the person that wrote the letter, who was invited to be on stage with us, but I guess he doesn't have the guts to come on stage and defend what he was trying to bash me out about by email. See, people, you man up. Are you a man? Man up. If you got a point of view, stand by it. But don't come for somebody who you're not really qualified to come for. Because first of all, if you're going to come for somebody, if you're going to come for somebody and battle me down and try to beat me down and bash me, know who I am. Know what kind of ammunition I'm working with. know what my path is, know what I'm doing, because baby, like, this is real for me out here. This is not a joke. Go ahead.
What are some of the ways, I know they write you out of history. What are some of the other ways or other ploys that they have used to keep you from your inheritance? You're muted.
This instance, they took Bagwell's race. They did that. I'm not really sure when they exactly changed the records, but I'm thinking it might have been in 1950s, maybe 1960s, something like that. Maybe they started changing records on folks, making your ancestors white, taking your land away, taking away your inheritance. Bagwell's actually, as you see from the dates, he was his people, his kinfolk were revolutionary in the Revolutionary War. They took those same descendants, moved those same names, first, last, and added their last name in between, put a P in the middle, because they're dumb. It's like they're gonna forget their own last name. They put their real last name in the middle. They're stupid. Okay. So they take your surnames, remix it with their own real surnames, move it from a Revolutionary War hero or soldier to a daggone Civil War soldier. Everything, even his brother, they changed everything. They took his whole identity. And then the dum-dums do crazy things like erase the race on the records, or they leave the races around your ancestors being black or colored or whatever, and then they change your one ancestor that's got all the land to white, as if a white person lives in the mix of all these poorer Negroes. Not even poor, because everybody had land and money, pretty much. I was not saying everybody, but a lot of your kinfolk had stuff. But why would a white person be smack dab in the middle of all these other folks that ain't them?
Trap history says they trying to steal the founders of civilization from Africa. Meanwhile, y'all trying to be Chief Powwow.
What does that mean? Who cares about Africa? I'm not African. If you're African, then I guess you need to go to Africa and deal with that, or whatever African stuff is being stolen. The Africans that I see here don't give a doggone. They're running here trying to get all your stuff. Or not your stuff because you're African, but trying to get all my stuff. So no, I don't understand that. What does that mean? That's weird.
That's the intelligence level that we're at. Most brothers sound like that. Don't know what they're talking about. Never do. But this is what we did, homie. We put the link in the chat in the room. Maybe you can come on and explain yourself. Maybe I'm getting lost in translation. I'm not understanding what you're saying. There's a link to the chat. Can you come in and explain it? So, Lisa, that change in identity, how, let me ask this. Let me ask Jay Smith that.
Yeah.
The change in the identity. Do you see the problem that's causing?
Yeah. They keep moving the goalposts. They create identities for you to walk into, like they set landmines and stuff. And then we walk into it, and then we literally assist them in their paper genocide, in their lying narratives. They create lying narratives piece by piece, bit by bit. They do it really subtle, Sometimes it comes with an offer. They'll offer you something to do it. The way they did in 2020 with the vaccinated against the unvaccinated. The tricks are the same. They haven't changed. You just got to be aware of it. These classification alterations and changes, is typical.
So what I'm seeing. I just got word this week that two people I went to school with clipped themselves. And I'm like, oh, dang, Why would you kill yourself? You know, that's something that, one of the things we try to be like them instead of being ourselves. We always trying to be rich. We always trying to be like them while trying to pretend that's not how we're trying to be. That shit is wearing us out.
Mm.
We're always trying to be them. And see these cats getting into this cryptocurrency and stuff. Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like Lisa was saying earlier, get with your ancestors, your people. Who were they? Those people count. You can tell they count because you count. But when you're trying to be other people, other things, what other people come up with, all you're going to be is what they want you to be. And I'm sure your people weren't like that.
Carrie,
Yes, sir.
I think it was your last broadcast. You had somebody in the chat. I was in the chat too. That was running that Moorish Paradigm stuff,
Right.
and that's a good example because see that the Moors, they were what you would call your everyday, seafarer on the seas. They would use them to, like, they were like middlemen or third party interlopers. They were merchants. They were pirates and privateers, traders and thieves, you know. And when you really look at that, those actions in itself speaks for itself. To call yourself a Moor, you're misrepresenting by calling yourself that, especially if you're on the land. And for him to kept drilling you about what your nationality is, while he himself wasn't even really demonstrating what his was. And then when he finally broke down and did it and said the Moorish American, I replied and I asked the question. I said, "Where's that on any records? You're saying Moorish American," and then he flips it and he started saying, "Oh yeah, we were on the whole planet. We were around the whole planet," as if to suggest that all original people are Moors. That's what he was doing. I don't know if he's still in here, if he's in the chat this time. I hope he's hearing this. But that's what I mean. These attempts to, trip you up so that a colonizer can actually have control over you, and in particular take you off the land. Right now, they're actually operating corporations. They're not operating nations. They're actually out for commercial purposes. So there's actually a doctrine that relates to that. When you do that, the United States early on, when it actually went from the Articles of Confederation to the Constitution, they drew the Constitution up because they were not going to be recognized on the world scene at the time overseas if they did not belong to a particular union called the UPU. So in order to engage in commerce with other nations, they had to draw that constitution up. A lot of people don't know that constitution is nothing more than corporation game plans. So what happens is the United States lost its sovereignty as soon as it went there with that so-called sovereignty. I'll put it that way. So I'm just tying the loose ends by saying that they try to get you to walk off of the land so they could impose their seafaring rules of privateers and pirates. That's the game. That's what's being played. So let me land there and I'll listen.
So what do you think about that, Lisa?
Well, yeah, I agree. Like, you know, that's the thing. I mean, we have to understand that, you know, what are these devices that they're using to, you know, to mislead us. And this is the thing. I think that what people don't realize is that you have things that you can actually win, that you actually have an inheritance that is worth fighting for. And if you just see yourself as this Aboriginal, then yeah, from that standpoint, you won't exist today. Like if they were to Google you in the future and look for you, you're going to be what they would describe as African American. They probably won't even find any kind of real documentation of the Aborigines of America. Might find maybe a rare. They probably won't even find a video. They probably won't even find the YouTubes, because that's not a classification. It's not recorded anywhere legally or historically. So, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, so you have to understand that these, you know, we are living history now. We are living history now. So when we accept like certain things, like right now, the thing that, you know, the paper genocide that's going on right now is that not only are they turning your ancestors into white and they're erasing you every day, they are also turning your ancestors into African Americans. They are retroactively making Frederick Douglass, you know, I don't know, Sojourner Truth, Phyllis Wheatley. They're making all these people into African Americans.
When the term wasn't even used then.
It wasn't even used then. And our people are leading that whole thing. You know, they're talking about Black History Month, African American, this African. Why are you using this term? You're making us all immigrants. You're making this person into something they never called themselves. So my thing, when I'm on the Eastern Shore, for my people, I say, you don't use African American. I'm fighting you. They're gonna hear from me if they say anything about an African on the Eastern Shore of Virginia. Word is bond. That's happening. I am going, you know, I'm going toe to toe with you. If you're trying to do anything, I don't care if it's your genealogy. I don't care what you're talking about. Your genealogy ain't African. You're lying. So it's a battle. That's how we see it. The Acamax, but if more people were repatriated, even if you're not repatriated, you can still fight against them calling things African American. You can still be useful in this world because like I said, history is being made now. So because we're sitting blindly by and letting them go, because our silence is consent. So with every Wikipedia that says African, that you don't say something, they weren't African. You don't say something about that, you're letting it roll. Every time you see them call us something that we're not and don't say anything, don't send them a message, who did this? Why are you calling these people African when they weren't? They never used the term African American. That's not correct, historically correct. Right. It's not accurate at all. Well, that's what the term that people today feel more comfortable with. I don't care. I don't know what kind of poll you took. Trap history, that's the person that, hello?
No, yeah. Can you let him in?
Oh, okay. Oh, where is it?
I got him.
Yeah, I got it too.
Trap history, welcome.
How y'all doing?
Hello.
Can y'all hear me?
Kayuk. Yeah, I hear you. You hear him? Yep, I hear him.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm here. I'm tuning in. I don't mean no disrespect. Got a problem with it, man.
Can you let him in, Lisa?
He's in. Oh, he came out again. I don't know how he popped out.
What's going on, man?
Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nothing much. How y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
I can't complain. I can't complain at all. Yeah, but yeah, I was just chiming in. I mean, I don't mean no disrespect or anything like that.
No,
It's just
he keeps popping out.
He popped out again? No, he's
Yeah.
in. He just sounds low.
Do I need to turn my mic
Can we
up?
hear him?
Sound low.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. Well, like I was saying, I don't know if y'all can hear me, but I'm gonna just continue for the ones that can't hear me. I feel like the whole
Trap history. Go ahead.
Can you hear
I
me?
hear him. I hear him. I hear him.
Okay.
Just you're a little bit low. That's all.
Okay. The thing is, I feel
better.
like and I may be wrong, but I feel like the whole I mean, I understand the indigenous aspect of your roots and everything, but I feel like that it kind of plays into the white supremacy notion of Africa being something that's bad, because okay, maybe there's a lot of information on the Olmecs being black, and they're in the
Are you a Pan-African? Who am I? What am I talking to?
I'm not any label. I'm a lover of history.
Well, if you're a lover of history, let's hear this Miss History about the Olmecs. Go ahead, continue.
Like I'm saying, yeah, well, there's a lot of evidence towards the Olmecs being black. As far as you can see them, with the Olmec heads, they have braids, and when you take the helmet off, they have braids and afros, and a widow's peak. And in the Mayan chronicles or the Mayan codexes, they show the black people with and they draw them with big red lips, and they show them going to war with them, and some of them even have braids. And but the thing that I'm saying is, okay, they were there, but they still came from Africa. You know what I mean?
Check this out, man. This is what I mean. You have to think. Listen, dude, are there any Mayan heads in Africa?
Are there any Mayan heads in Africa?
You heard me.
No, there's not. No, not like that. No.
Right. So explain how people come from across the waters and start building giant heads when they've never done it before.
There are megaliths in Africa. And Africa is the only ancient place where there are megaliths, where there is evidence of people moving great big stones like that and carving great big stones like that.
What about the Polynesian Islands? That's not true, sir. That's not even true.
Are those black people too? Not tell the truth.
Black people all don't come from Africa. That out of Africa is a white eugenicist theory.
All right,
let me tell you, the equator is around the planet. There are melanated people all around. This is a melanated planet. We all didn't come from Africa, because let me tell you something. If we all came from Africa, Africa would have the most of everything that we are. They would have the most inventors. No, they don't. They don't have the most inventors. They don't have the most food. All the food sources come from here. All the music comes from here.
But
all
man,
the dancing comes from here. They don't have anything. They are backwards. If they were the source, they would not be backwards.
That has nothing to do with people coming out of Africa, though.
No, you believe what the white people tell you. That's what you were talking to us, because they taught that to you. You didn't learn that from your grandma. You learned that from white men.
Listen what I'm trying to say.
White men gave you out of Africa.
Listen what I'm trying to say. So listen what I'm saying. If a white person takes a bath, you're gonna stop taking a bath because white people take baths?
What does that got to do?
I'm trying to tell you,
if it's right, it's right. If it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong.
Hey man, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you
peer review. Peer review, and for far as we know, that's the best way to figure out the truth.
A peer of what? A peer of white supremacists. You're really being ridiculous.
Man, you're being ridiculous. You're acting like white people got a monopoly. You're acting like white people got a monopoly on knowledge.
Don't
Using
don't you
white
get your knowledge from
information.
them?
You're using their information.
Bro, no, how you going? So there's no white, there's no black scientists, there's no black historians, there's no black nothing. What do you mean? Only white?
Out of Africa theory was started by the eugenics, by white supremacists. Do you understand that? Have you researched it?
So listen to what I'm telling you. So,
do you understand where it came from, sir?
Whatever you're trying to say, what I'm trying to say is, okay, give me a peer-reviewed something, link, article, something that proves them wrong. Whoever did it, if the devil did it, whatever. Give me a
what do you want to know? What do you want to know that's wrong? That we're saying is wrong. That we're saying that.
Tell me where people came from. Show me the migration of people.
Let me tell you something. Trap history. You can be from Africa, but what you cannot be is a colonizer and tell me where my people come from.
I'm not telling you where your people come from.
Trap history. Let me finish. I'm gonna close your mic. Trap history. What you will not do is tell me who my people come from and jump over here in America and put your daggone nasty out of Africa paws all over daggone America. You want to be from Africa? That's fine. You want to think Africa did things? Don't claim Africa over here. This ain't from Africa, okay? And I know where my people come from, okay? So you're not going to sit up there and tell me what I am. You can tell yourself where you're from and you can be an immigrant. And I suggest you go back to Africa because this ain't Africa. If you don't know it, it ain't Africa, okay?
I have a question. I have a question for the ones saying that we migrated out of Africa. My question is, why do you hold to the notion that all melanated people were confined to one continent and Americas, they populated an empty continent? What gave you that impression?
Is my mic on mute?
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes.
I mean, listen. All the evidence points to that. All the DNA evidence. Like she said, if people came from Africa, Africa would have everything, and that's what it has. Africa has everything except for white people because they mixed with Neanderthal DNA they were not in Africa. Africa has every phenotype. They have the shortest and the tallest. The shortest being the pygmies, and the tallest being the Sudanese, the Manute Bowles people. They have every variation.
All right, let me
light to dark. You got the Khoisan, and then you got the dark people, the Neolithic people, the very dark. You have that's how it works when you're talking about genetics.
That doesn't evidence the beginning, what you're describing. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So listen.
First of all,
listen. There's people who have done this work, right? Is what I'm trying to say.
Can I ask you another question?
If you have a better way, you can go and get it peer reviewed, and everybody will break it down.
No,
they'll say your way is right.
You keep saying peer review in whose eyes?
That's science. That's how it works.
Yeah, but what do you mean by peer review? In whose eyes are you referring to?
See, this is the thing about this guy, Trap History. Trap History, you don't have any kind of advanced education, right? And you're using the words of scientists. I am a scientist. I have my master's in science, okay? You haven't had to do any kind of reviews, research, or anything. So you're using terminology that you clearly don't understand. And and that's why they're able to mystify you and get you to repeat their garbage. Because what is a peer review, sir? It is merely a couple of individuals who are either in school or professors or what have you, researchers who sit up there and say, well, I'm going to read this study and okay, let's see what I think of it. Well, I agree. Well, I agree. Well, they all could be friends. They all could be drinking buddies. That peer review has no friggin' barometer of any kind of litmus of control of it being reliable or valid. You're using terminology that you don't even understand, sir. Don't use it. It sounds crazy.
Another thing I want to interject also, Africa wasn't the whole continent. Just a small portion on that landmass was referred to African. So to say you're African, not only did you confine yourself, you're doing it here in America when you're not over there. How does that benefit you?
Can I tap in? Caillou, right? Caillou. The fact is that, you know what I mean? We're not African. There's no facts of Africa. They're not definitely the oldest. I mean, they don't have all these things. I don't know. I heard all these things you just mentioned. Africa doesn't have all these things. A lot of pseudo stuff is coming out of people's mouths because of over the years of this Pan-African being drilled through movies, roots, over and over. You know what I mean? 12 years of a slave, the Django. You see what I'm saying? They keep putting it in their minds, and our people just carrying them like it's skin on their back. You know what I mean? With no facts. With no facts. The oldest artifacts are found in America, okay, in the world. They're called mounds. And even the pyramids, we have more pyramids over here in America than Africa. Actually, Africa would be the newest place out of all. You know, before you get Africa homage, because you think Africa is ancient. No, it's not more ancient than India, than Hindustan, than Asia. Asia is older than Africa. But see, everybody just caught in this delusional. You know, I just want to know what ties you to Africa. You know, besides the mainstream, give me something original. What ties you to Africa? What makes you think that you're African?
I'm muted. I can't
No,
talk
you're
to
not.
anybody.
You can mute.
No, you're not.
Well, it tells me I'm muted. This is what I'm trying to say. She's saying, "Oh, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not on. I didn't tell you any of my education. You're going about how I'm talking. I talk like this because this is where I learned my English."
Brother, let's get mature. Let's answer this. Let's deal with the point.
I'm being mature.
Why
Somebody told me I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just using out pure words because I don't have any education.
Look, answer the question, dude.
All right. What question? You're saying, oh, don't go with the mainstream. Like, come on, bro. What are we trying to do? We're just trying to hear something new, or we're trying to hear what the truth is.
Brother, answer the question.
This is how I feel. This is what it breaks down to, because I'm gonna be muted soon, anyways. But this is what it breaks down to. You guys feel like I'm going off of white this and white that, and I feel like you are, because the demonization of Africa is that's what they have done, and that's what you guys are perpetuating.
I have to stop you there.
The demonization of black people, Africans, whatever you want to label.
Nobody's black. Nobody's black.
Whatever
brother,
you want to label.
Hey, brother. You gotta. Nobody's black. Nobody's black. Nobody.
Brown, whatever you want to label. It's just labels, bro.
Nobody's a color.
Nobody's a color. No. I just want him to answer the question, man. Damn.
What questions? You want to hear something new about? Oh, why I think
answer the question.
Why I think we African?
Exactly.
No. What I want you to answer my question that I originally asked you, because you've been responding to things I didn't even ask you.
Yeah, because I had 4 different people just talk, and I didn't talk at all. So there's 4 different things coming at me while I was muted.
Yeah, all I'm asking is that how could you actually confine yourself to being from there? You know, you may be from Africa, but to sit there and say we all are, how do you come off? How do you come off in an absolute like that?
We are worldwide people.
I didn't finish my question.
What I'm saying is, you're correct, but we originate in Africa.
What I'm saying is, how can you actually make a determination for someone else where they're from when it's not even in their family line? How can you just say that?
He has no answer. He has nothing to say.
All right, we're gonna move on. We're gonna bring April Dawn in. April Dawn, how you doing, love?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Your mic is muted.
It's muted. Can you hear me?
Her mic is a music. Trap history. Are you the one in the email or are you not?
I think he jumped off. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead, April Dawn.
I was actually gonna ask old dude like how do you? 'Cause what did he say? That whole trying to say that the demonization of Africa. That's why we feel like that. Who said anything about like anything bad or or anything about Africa like that? As the reason why we think we're you know indigenous
So,
to America. What does
so
that
April
have to do with
Dawn.
anything?
So April Dawn, it has nothing to do with it. And understand, when people are like that, they don't know what the hell they talking about. You had two men
No,
ask him a question, and he ran away from them questions as fast as he could.
he was. I'm
You
like,
ask
oh
them a
my
question,
god,
answer the question.
like
And
answer.
they just want to argue, and you don't believe what I believe. Dude, answer the question. So go
Yeah,
ahead, April Dawn. Well, April Dawn, you had something you want to add?
Oh, sorry, my background just got loud. Yeah, the whole like, and then come and say that we're identifying with white supremacy, but he's literally believes in the out of Africa theory. That is crazy. Like,
Maybe that's all.
and it's not even based on humans. They're talking about apes.
Right.
Lucy was a baby ape. Like, oh my god.
Not a
Yeah.
baby.
So, hopefully these brothers grow out of that, because, you have brothers asking you questions, answer the questions, man, because you don't, everybody in the chat saying, who sent you?
Right, he does seem like an agent, like, cause like where you come
Yeah.
from, talking these outdated, this shit is like it's so outdated too. Like it's the same arguments. Oh, it's either our grandmas and grandpas lied, or they were insecure, or we just hate Africa and all this. It's so played out. Like y'all can't come up with
Yeah.
anything new.
They don't
mm,
know anything. So April Dawn, we're gonna keep the show moving on. Thank you for calling.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. Hey, hi, babies.
Y'all say, well, they can't hear you. I got my earbud in.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
All right. So listen, another thing about communication, when you're talking to people, to cut out all the arguing and raising your voice and all that, you guys are having a conversation, ask questions. Ask questions. That's the only way you're going to learn something. And like Jay Smith and like Acamac Engine, they asked questions. They didn't get no answers. That's how it normally goes on in the Negro community. All they know is what's been given to them. No thinking. The man asked them, how can you say everybody's African if they're studying their family history and Africa doesn't show up? What do you say to that? He didn't answer that. He ran from that shit quick. So, I'm not an asshole. I'm going to bring the brother back on and let him answer the question.
No, but that person that's in the email is still hiding somewhere in the shadows, still emailing while the live is going on. Like
I'm in the
he's
live,
that much.
but I'm
He's
Right.
that
muted.
much of a creep. Okay, weirdo.
I'm muted.
Okay, trap history.
Yes, I'm being strategically muted, so it
You're
looks like
not
I'm not trying to
muted.
answer the.
We can hear you.
Oh yeah,
You're
now.
not muted.
Answer the question. Stop
All right, what's
whining.
the question? You saying that people are looking at their history and they're not finding Africa? Is that the question?
Jay Smith, could you ask him the question again so we can stop going through this bullshit?
yeah. Well, it kind of brought on more questions as he was going off on a tangent without answering the question. But my question was originally, why he actually holds on to that in America, and he's not over there. I mean, how does that benefit him? It doesn't benefit
I'm
you.
gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you what the benefit is for me, and I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna be frank. Okay, look, you have Caucasians, right? and they trace. It don't matter if they're from Scandinavia, right? But they'll trace themselves back to Greco-Roman, because there's something culturally that they can say that they're better or more civilized. You know what I'm saying? This is how I see it with African Black. Okay, so we can do the same thing with Egypt, but we don't care. You know what I mean? A lot of us don't care. We don't want to. We're doing this kind of thing. Oh, I want to be Hebrew. I want to be Indian. You know what I'm saying? This is why I don't care. I could care. I don't care about you guys' roots or anything like that. I don't have a problem with it or anything. I would rather, but I want to do the same thing that they're doing for their cultural clout or whatever, and because they. I had a call. They know that they get all their civilization from Egypt, and it's all coming out. The more technology comes out now, and the more they can't suppress the information. That's the only reason. That's why I say that, and that's the benefit I have being in America and not being in Africa, of why I'm saying that. Does that kind of answer it?
Well, no, because the whole idea is you're doing it here in America. You're not doing it in Africa. You're actually. Wait,
Let me
hold
go
on.
again.
What
So a
am I
white
saying?
person here
No, I
still
don't want you to
traces.
repeat
So
yourself.
trap
traces
history.
his roots
Trap
back
history.
to Roman.
You see how you can't let other people speak. You
Because he's
just
getting
come in
wrong what
and
I'm saying.
bogart and try
Go
to
ahead.
get other. Oh, don't do
You
that,
got it.
dude. Damn.
My bad. You got it. You got it. My bad.
Yeah, I didn't even finish. It's like you're coming right off your mic and you won't let me talk. You don't get your view across by talking over people. What I'm trying to say is, if it's about feeling good about yourself, fine. You could feel good about yourself in any capacity if you so desire. But to try to lump everybody on the same path that you're taking, that's not cool, because see, what you're doing is you're limiting other people. I know you don't want that done to you. So to sit there and say we're all African, that's not something that's benefiting you while here in America. We have
Okay.
ancestry here in the Americas. We don't. It's not our responsibility to benefit somebody from overseas. If you want to claim to be Nigerian,
Oh my God.
Guyana, if you want to be all these different
You,
locations from
you're not
overseas,
understanding. You're not
that's
understanding.
fine. But not here. You
All right.
don't. If it's a feel good thing for you,
Could I ask you a question?
yeah, go ahead.
Okay. White supremacist. A white supremacist or a redneck uh, with two teeth in his mouth in the Appalachians. He still grasps to Greco-Roman civilization. He probably don't got no trace back to there. He probably traces back to Finland or somewhere, Scandinavia, somewhere up there with the Vikings. But it's a reason that white supremacy uses that. They lump themselves in with that for a reason.
What does an actual narrative have to do with loving yourself?
I love myself regardless, bro. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Okay, look, let's try to break it down more simply. Go. Don't think about it as all these little sections, Nigeria, this or that. Think about this: Black supremacy versus white supremacy. Make it simple for you.
Yeah, but
Bro,
you're talking about narratives. I'm not talking
No, I'm
about
just
that.
telling you, Black supremacists versus white
You
supremacists.
know,
yo,
listen,
crayon game.
Let me say this. I'll put it to you straight. You sit there talking about we're supporting white supremacy. As soon as you call yourself black, you're supporting white supremacy.
I'm just using terms that we know.
Because you're walking into a trap by calling yourself that.
I'm just using
Therefore,
terms that we know.
you're in the game of the narrative that they're promoting. If you want to play that game and you walk into that type of identity, which has nothing to do with you, what does that tell you about yourself?
I'm telling that's the world we live in. I know when I come outside, the police don't look at me and say, I wonder, is he a Moor? I wonder, is he a indigenous black?
Hold on, bro. Hold on. I got something for you, right? I'm gonna tell you why black is bullshit, right? Right.
We
Africans in
know
this
it's
country.
bullshit.
Hold
We
on,
know it's
bro.
bullshit, bro.
Hold
I
on, bro.
agree with you. You don't have to tell me
Hold
that. I
on.
know it's bullshit.
Hold on. You don't know what I'm gonna say. Hold on. I'm gonna show you why black is bullshit, because this is what nobody's talking about. What about these dark complected people, melanated people that's not from the country that owns a lot of businesses. Our people don't, our ancestors don't, our people, our kinfolks, most people don't really own, it's hard to find an average store of our people, right? I'm not going to, those are labeled African Americans, right? Let's talk about it.
It's hard to find a what?
A business, any business within your local communities. I don't care what state you in. Huh?
It is, but I'm not gonna say personally. Both sides of my family have businesses, and they're very well done. But I know everybody's not like that.
My question was, but what's the percentage? Come on, man, it's a very low rate.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying. I know everybody's not like that.
It's so low we can't even notice it. Nobody even notices it. Oh,
yeah, so
you know what I mean? Like, come on.
I know that.
So now, all right. So now we got that checked out, right? So now, count how many melanated people that's not from this country that have businesses. A whole ass of them.
You mean the ones that are over here?
Africans. Africans own a lot of stores. Yeah. They own stores. They own many stores in a lot of cities. Listen,
that's because their best and their best are coming here, bro.
I'm just saying, hold on. I'm just showing you that why black is not a problem. It's not a color system. I'm just showing you why. The attack is on the Indian, man. The attack is on the American Indians, man. So you feel like, that Indians is colored. So now you feel like, they're attacking all colored folk or all melanated folk. But it's not true. They've been
attacking blacks since the papal degree.
Prove that they're attacking Africans and prove it.
You ever heard of a paper bull?
Listen, I know, but you see, why are you going back so far, man? I know about all that.
They don't attack Africans. It's only Indians. And I'm gonna tell you when it started. When it started, the whole thing.
All right, let me ask you this. Oh, I guess I won't get that chance.
Full of rhetoric.
Did he drop out? Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. He's still there.
Oh, I don't see him. Must be me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. I just want you to know the black and white narrative, those are actual status. It has nothing to do with, the way you look. You're not going to see any white person or black person walking around. Okay. To actually call yourself that and walk into the legal trap that they created for you. All these narratives you walked into. But let me ask you this. You did an ancestry research. You went to Africa and did that. You know where you're from in Africa?
What does it matter? I'm not going to answer that first. I'm going to just ask you first. What does it matter?
Well, yes or no. It's a yes or no question.
Everything, brother. It matters. Everything. Give that man respect. Give that man some respect and answer that man.
It's just a yes or no.
They don't care if I'm from Congo, or they don't care if I'm from Senegal.
No, just yes or no.
Nigeria, yes.
Yes or no.
Yes.
So where are you from?
From multiple places.
What do you mean where you I didn't ask you that.
Why are you lying on your ancestors? You know that's really,
I got multiple. How you gonna tell me I'm lying?
You're lying. You're lying because you say DNA is not reliable. You can't take your DNA and tell. Can you take a DNA test and it tells you your daddy's from daggone Chicago? No, that's dumb. DNA don't match geography, dummy.
So I'm the dummy now. Jesus Christ.
Dumb just means not knowing. You don't know.
Yeah, I get. Ignorant man. But yeah, wherever I've done a background, whether you want to say DNA or if you want to say on paper, I've looked the farthest I can find the ancestors to 1730s, South Carolina.
Why would you give your DNA to somebody? Why would you do that?
Why not? They can get my DNA
Is
if they
it
want it.
possible to interject?
Why would you get DNA to somebody?
Is it possible to interject?
Go ahead.
Okay. I wanted to talk about history because he was mentioning a couple of things. And I wanted to clarify certain things because a lot of Negro people be thinking they know stuff about history they don't know. You already stated it, which was facts. Being called Black was about a caste system. So to be classified as white did not mean you were white. It meant that you were of high class, meaning that you had wealth. So you could have been a general. For instance, I'm gonna get, and people are going to not agree with this, but I've done the research.
Bacon Rebellion.
George Washington was socially a white man, right? He's considered socially white because he was a general and he had a lot of wealth, right? But if you check his autobiography, he says he's a swarthy man, a dark-skinned man. He does not say he's a white man. He does not say he has a white hue of complexion. So this idea of the caste, what people don't understand is that when you are calling yourself Black, there were white people who were socially Black, meaning they were poor peasants from the Ukraine, Russia, Northern Europe. These people were peasants. They came into the United States in the 1820s and they were poor. They had not a pot to piss in or a window to throw them at them. So when you're talking about these classifications, you got to make sure you know what you're talking about. It was a caste system. You are not Black. Clearly, you can tell your skin tone from a off TV screen. You get what I mean? So I want people to understand that. And when it comes to the Negroes who they're talking about that came over to America, what people ought to understand, white people never colonized America. They did not colonize America until after Reconstruction. Do y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, they did not colonize America until after Reconstruction. That's also a lie. They were not the Portuguese. They were not the Spanish. They were not your conquistadors. They were not your Sephardic Jews. They were not your Irish. They were not your Scottish. These were Slavic slaves. They did not colonize you. The people who colonized the American Aboriginal were also Negro. A lot of people have a hard time saying, yes, your Spanish, Portuguese, they were. So when they tell you you're mixed with Europe, they're a European ancestry, they try to convince you that it's a white man. No, white people weren't here. You can check, and I did the research. You can check the Ellis Island records. The first white man did not get here until 1819. He did not. He did not show up. And you got to understand, if you go to Virginia and Washington, D.C. National Archives, you don't find those African slave manifests. You don't find the ledgers. You don't find the documents. They only have records of 1850 slave trade, and it only has whites listed as slaves. Everybody else, they try to tell you, well, if you're listed as a free person, it still meant that you were slave. Now, Negroes were slaves at first from the Spanish, Portuguese, Europeans. You were never beaten and burned and raped by a white man. He's a liar. Okay? It didn't happen. How he got into power. I have a whole, if you go watch I have a whole segment on how they got the land from under Negroes, and it ain't the way they said it. All right. It ain't the way. And we're not Indian. I also want to say that we're not Indian. We are Aboriginals. And I want people to understand the Webster's 28 dictionary clearly gave a specific word that represented what they called the American Aboriginal, because when Christopher Columbus was alive, he did not assume he was going to India, as India was Barak Hindustan at that time and was not considered India until the 19th century. So he never thought he was going to India. You can look this information up. It's anywhere. You can look up Hindustan. Their name was not Hindustan in the 14, 15, 16, and 1700s. It was Barak, or however you say that, Hindustan. So he never thought that. That's a lie.
We're aware of it in this group, but also.
Oh, no, but I'm just telling for anybody who's not aware.
But the thing about it is, like it is not monolithic. And the fact is that during different times, during different strategies were used. And I think that whether you do a broad sweep in one way and try to make everybody white, or you do a broad sweep in the other way and try to say ain't no white people were here, that
But they weren't.
also you can't do that, because you can't.
But I can though, because it's the reason why I can is I'm not speaking from not knowing. It's literally documented. See, what you can find here is
okay. I'm gonna
that would be conjecture, but that would be conjecture. You get what I mean? I can't conjecturalize. I don't know. Like I said, I only can give you the information.
You're muted, Lisa.
This is the thing. The reality is you can't sit up there and say, see, I hate when people do that. When people want to be all one side or all one the other way. And life and reality is never that. It's never like all or nothing. You know what I mean? So you want to go the extreme of saying there wasn't nobody, everybody was black, everybody was melanated, whatever. Swarthy is this. And, it's like, like when you look in the records, what you're saying don't jive. And sister, you ain't in all the records. I know you're not in my ancestors' records. So I don't understand how you're going to sit there and speak for my family. Like, I don't think so. And like, I did not see you in the courthouse on the Eastern Shore looking at the oldest continuous court records in the nation. So I don't know how you have all this all-knowing information that you're going to sit up there and try to act like you're going to speak for my people. That's colonizing spirit. I don't
But
care.
you can ask me how I got it, and I could tell you.
Let me tell you something. I know you don't know my people, okay? That I know you don't know. And
but you're acting as if I'm trying to know your people. Did I say you specifically, or was I making a general statement?
But when you make these ballpark statements, that's what I'm saying, is when you make ballpark statements, whether it's on one side or the other, it's still ridiculous, because
it's not though. It's what can be proven. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm not saying they didn't colonize. White people colonized after Reconstruction.
Kendra,
yes.
What did your people call themselves?
My people never called themselves African. My mother said that they said that they were of the Seminole Indians. They said they had to classify themselves as Negro.
What is a Seminole?
I know that a Seminole, I know what a Seminole is. It is a name that is given by, I understand. It means runaway. I understand. I have the same knowledge you have. Believe me, I'll research.
Seminole doesn't mean runaway. It actually means a mixture.
It does. But it does. If you look it up, it does mean runaway.
No, I mean, it means a mixture. See, this is whatever. So
it can be an admixture of various tribes. I'm aware of that as well.
This is the thing. You got colonizer spirit. You want to be like,
I do not have colonizer spirit. That's your assumption, because you didn't like that I didn't call white people the colonizers. See, when black people hear that white people aren't the colonizers, they didn't get up in arms because they need that. It carries them to feel like, oh, white people did us wrong, but it wasn't fact. They literally.
I'm gonna mute your mic, because you're just way too much. And the reality is, you can't tell me what I think. First of all,
you
can't tell me what I think. You can't tell me whether I know that our own people were there, what we did, because in our records, my own people are owning slaves and doing whatever. So
yes, American Aboriginal.
I don't want to hear all that. I just don't want to hear all that. She's just way too much.
But we're trying to share information.
I'm not getting. I want to be able to say something and get a thought out without her stomping on it. That's what I want to be able to do. Okay, I want to be able to get a thought out without her stomping on it with all this excess. And the reality is that there were people that were here, that were melanated, and a lot of our undoing is our own people. But like I said, when we go way over to the other side, where you're going to tell everybody that everything is one thing, it's just as bad as going the other way. Because usually the truth is in the middle somewhere. That's a reasonable person knows that there's their version, that version, and then there's a truth. And usually the truth is in the middle. And the reality is that whatever you're going to use historically, because you're dealing with people that have recorded things. Now, if you believe that we are the recorders, if you believe we're the colonizers.
I don't believe that, though. You didn't let me finish.
But if we're the colonizers, then we're the recorders.
But if you would have let me finish, you would have heard everything I said. You cut me off before I could even get there.
Go ahead and say it.
So what I was saying is that the people who colonized the Negroes, the Aboriginals of America, were the same hue of complexion as you. It was a caste system. So what I wanted to say is when they're telling you that you may have some European or Sephardic, Irish, Scottish ancestry, this may be so, but not white. That's all I was trying to say. And I was like, we American Negro are the Aboriginal. I am very aware of this. Now, you may have maybe 5 or 10% of a foreigner who came and inhabit the land, because we know that when the Spanish first got here, they were dying. They could not survive because they did not know how to cultivate the land by themselves. So we know this. So they began to mate into a lot of the groups that they allied with, the Aboriginal groups they allied with. That's all I was trying to say. I was trying to get to that point. I'm not saying, what I'm trying to say is we gotta unthink of a lot of these word games that have been played they have been literally beaten into our mind that white man literally is the colonizer. White man is this, white man is that. First and foremost, white people are liars. And what they don't tell you about history is that a lot of it they weren't in. And because you can look it up, the Moors literally civilized white people. Prior to that, they were laying in pig pens, creating a plague from not washing. They never were $5 engines. They never were European, Spanish, or anything else. They were Slavic slaves. They were in captivity. That's all I was saying. During the time the Dark Ages ruled and Negroes ruled, they were woodwoos. So this idea that they keep telling us, oh, we branded you guys, raped you, and hagged you, this was all lies. That's what I was trying to say. It's a lie. Why? It's fear mongering. If you think that you were these great people and then were brought down to the lowest of low bodies people and never could get up, it's a lie. It's not to curse, but it's mind fuck. You know what I mean? It's how they got your land, and I will go into details. How they got your land was stealing your identity. They made you think, oh, you got the last name from our forefathers. No, they stole your family's last name. That doesn't belong to anybody. So if your name is Jenkins or Wilsons, that wasn't a white man's last name. He was a Slavic man. He didn't have that name, right? And you can check the Ellis Island records. When they were coming in via Ellis Island, they were changing their names. So I'm going to give a good one, like the name Rockefeller.
Kendra.
Rockefeller. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thanks, baby. It's over.
What's over? I'm sorry.
Look, I mean, yeah, we don't mind you coming on and sharing your ideas, but damn, pass the mic. Don't hog the mic. And American blood. Dude, don't. Because anybody that calls themselves Aboriginal, and when I ask you what is ab means, you don't know. So listen, you don't know everything. When I asked the sister, what did your people call themselves? You know what? I didn't get an answer. Nobody said nothing. What did your people call themselves? Not what they call you. No, we ain't tripping. But this is what I'm saying. This is how we're going to have to communicate with each other. Because you just can't just talk over everybody. Pass the mic. Be the background singer sometime. And we can't seem to do that. Jay Smith, where'd you go, man?
Yeah, I'm still here.
So what do you think about that? This inability to communicate. What do you think that's about?
Well, I kind of mentioned it in the past. Sometimes people really want to talk over another person because they don't have their ego in check. You need your ego in check. Sometimes you got to give people a chance to at least put the question out, or convey a thought so you know where they're coming from, instead of just jumping off the mic or talking over someone. Your ego don't need protection like that. You don't need to do that. You wait your turn and you give others time to speak. And then when you're being asked a question and you jump all over the place without answering the question, you waste a lot of time doing that. And I don't know, sometimes there's a level. I'm not saying the people in here were doing that, but I'm just saying I've come across people that deflect and go around the question because they're being dishonest. So you don't need to do that either. So what's that?
So that's why I asked the questions that I asked. I don't want to hear what nobody else called you, and it's going to go over everybody's head. What did your people call themselves? What town did they live in? Who were your people? We never get the answer to that. We always get Seminole, Cherokee, names that other people came up with. What did your people call themselves? That's why we say, find your folks. How did they speak? What words did they use? But we can't never get to that because we just trying to yap through everybody else. Come on, y'all. Damn.
And the reality is that we need to this is the reality. We want to, people want to make platforms for themselves. Come over to my platform. They're trying to be orators, because in the reality, when you asked her, she had nothing to say about who her people were, what her mother said. She going to her mother, her mother is about my age. Like, what the world? Like, you can't, I mean, most of your mamas, most of these people's mamas was New Jack swinging. They don't know nothing about their heritage. They watch Roots and they New Jack swinged into the 2020s. That's what they did. Let's be realistic about things. Okay. So no, that's not a source. That's not really your people. Do you go to your family reunions? What did your grandma and them say? What were the names that your people were described as? Because the thing is when you put on a whole new name, like calling yourself Aboriginal, that is written nowhere. You're doing your own form of paper genocide. I don't care whether you can say, well, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you something. My people went into court and what they did was recorded as being Indian, then that they accepted that ruling as an Indian. If they went to court and what they did and they recorded as being a Negro, then let me tell you, if they won that case and they were glad to be the Negro. So when you're actually litigating based upon historical records, you're not going to be looking for no Aboriginals because they ain't there. We already did that daggone thing in our last build. We showed that if you look up Aboriginal and the minutes and the court records, the colonial court records, you're not going to find Aboriginal. They're not there.
Lisa,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I had brief encounters with the Moors. They seem to use that term more often. Aboriginal. I've noticed that about Moors. They use that a lot. But I thank you for that clarification. Thank you.
Yeah, they use that term because they use that term because they really don't want to deal with the actual paper trail of who they are. Because that colonizer spirit, we know who the Indians are. Because Indians, we don't vibe like that. We don't come in and want to be like, and obliviate and then twist things totally around. And there wasn't any white folks. And now you're the friendly white. See, what do they want? The Moor wants to be the friend of the white person. They always want to be the leader of the white person. Here's where them Indians are at. They want to be the person that's going to say, oh, you white people didn't do none of them bad things. Oh, it was all them dead. It wasn't you that did that. Whatever. It's an extreme view. It's extreme to the other side. And anything extreme most likely is not true. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So pillow talk. They have that stolen food. That's how your mama teach you to talk to people. who let you come on their platform and give you a microphone to call them a fool. You see why we lose on shit like that.
You
Stuff like
know,
that.
No, indigenous people, real Indians don't do that. They don't come. They're not gonna have that kind of energy. That energy is she's a European Moor, and that's that energy she's coming with. She don't want to talk about her history and what she is because she knows the truth.
You were saying something, Jay?
yeah, I kind of want to interject. I don't want to come off the subject matter, but it's tied in. Since I mentioned Moors, I have to throw this in there because you have to. I was in another forum and I figured, like I said, I don't like paperwork, but you know what? You kind of pushed into that direction. So I was learning a few things. And this is what I found. It says here, historically, the commercial traders and merchants were nomads. They were not landowners, nor were they producers. What they made money on was trading in commodities the landowners produced. In other words, they were the original broker middlemen. So I go down here a little bit and it says, where once you were considered to control the land and the law absolutely, now you are considered to be a non-producing trader with only relative equitable rights, land or no land. In other words, when we stepped into these identities in commerce, they referred to us as abandoning the land. They get you for abandonment. And it's funny because see the Moors are involved in that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna read a little more and then I'm gonna leave it alone. It says this is regarding like the characteristics of nations. It says it must have an organized government capable of enforcing law and free from all external control. A wandering tribe of savages or nomads or people united merely for commercial purposes or under control of another state cannot be considered as a sovereign state. The fact of sovereignty is usually established by general recognition of other states, and until such recognition is universal, no community, and then in brackets it says the United States and all others et al. Can be considered as sovereign. See, these people are out for commercial purposes. They're immigrants, foreigners. Actually, the United States is under foreign control. It has external controls on it. We're dealing with foreigners. All these bar members, police officers, and all these different persons are actually foreign agents. I just had to throw that in there. All right, I'll leave it alone.
Lisa, you say the same thing too about being controlled by outside forces, right?
Absolutely. And yeah, I agree. That was very interesting insight, And yeah, this is the thing. Her Pillow Talk TV, she just wants to be a media star. She her channel's not called Aboriginal. It's not called anything to do with that. She just found that that's the way the talk is flowing. So she just boned up on that. And now she thinks she's the daggone, the voice of the Aborigine. Pillow Talk, girl, you're just trying to get a voice. You just want to be, like the Tasha K, baby. That's all you're trying to be. Okay. That's just, that doesn't have anything to represent your heritage. That Pillow Talk don't have anything to do with your daggone, history. You're just somebody trying to get a following. And so you're using the Aboriginal indigenous people as that following. And that ain't cool, girl. You pimping folks. That's not cool. Because when you don't got nothing to bring to the table, when you talk personally about yourself, you got nothing. You want to tell people about gross information about the history. You're using information that other people have collected over daggone 15, 20 years. You're using their information, spitting it out like you done daggone discovered it for yourself. And then you got nothing on yourself. You got no historical, like, here's my genealogy. This is what I'm doing. These are where my people are located. That's how I know who I am. This is what they call themselves in the record. You got none of that. which makes you fraud, girl. Makes you a fraud. And I don't care how many of your people in the chat that like her. You may like her. She may be entertaining. She is an entertainer. You see how she brings the fire? She's an entertainer. Recognize an entertainer when you see one. Pillow talk has nothing to do with being Aboriginal, Indigenous, American Indian, none of that.
That was a bad song, though.
She don't even know the song. She's just somebody who wants to have a following. She's just somebody who wants to be importante. Okay. So she knows that this indigenous Aboriginal audience is growing. It's huge. And so she rode on the Dane Calloway train. She probably got a daggone, she probably watched and rewatched so many daggone videos trying to get her daggone dialogue right and get her daggone information correct. Girl, please. When it's genuine, you don't come with that energy. When you're real, you ain't gonna be like that. Like you're not gonna be like, oh, throwing out daggers after you get off the stage. Like, come on now. Like, what's that about? Take over spirit. We know who we are. We know how our people are. All that energy was not, that's not nature. That's not natural. That's not of America. That's weird, man.
And all of you, like Lisa said earlier, that's following that, enjoy that. But remember, you got to keep growing. You're going to know more tomorrow than you know today. You can't hang on. Go ahead, Jay.
I just want to state in all fairness, I appreciate you, Carrie. I appreciate you, Lisa, for what you do. Because if it wasn't for what you're doing, a lot of us would be caught up in the source of the confusion that's going on around us. Because see, I'll tell you this, Lisa. So I had told this to Carrie. I said when I was in school, the public school system, I remember they used to show us in history class. They give reference to this character known as Jim Thorpe. You know Jim Thorpe? You've heard that name before?
Yes. Your mic is muted, Lisa.
He's a Negro. he was passing as American Indian, which
right.
He was. He was passing as Native American, but okay. He really was American Indian, colored man. That one.
Oh, is that what that was? Because I had a question about it because when I saw it as a little boy, the black and white photograph. I don't know if he was a mulatto or whatever, but he looked kind of pale. So I had an impression about that, even though I couldn't put my finger on it. Because you remember? Yeah, go ahead.
They found out he was actually American Indian, but they wouldn't call it that. They would call him colored. They found out he was colored, which he took a hit for that because he was supposed to be American Indian, like the Native American hero, right?
Yes.
He was supposed to be that.
Right. But see, like on both sides of my family, you hear the common reference that you both bring up, where they say you had Indian in the family. But see, when you're going through the public school system and that indoctrination, that all of a sudden puts that out of your mind, and you go into this comatose state, that occurs from that constant drilling and indoctrination. But it's when I came across A4 where, that was the actual ingredient I needed to kind of kick the cobwebs off, because it puts you in a dormant state when you're under that kind of hypnosis. So.
Well, cool, Jay, man. We're about to shut it down, man. Are there any last words you want to add?
Just keep doing what you're doing and, you know, fight the fight.
Cool, brother. Well, thank you for hanging out with us tonight. I appreciate your presence.
Thank you.
Accomac Engine, where'd you go?
Oh, I'm here, man. I appreciate you. Appreciate letting me, appreciate the information, good information from Jay too, as well as the clan mother. I appreciate it.
So what's happening with the Accomacs, man? What's going on up there with the Accomacs?
Well, what I find really crazy is like Pillow talks in there talking about no one was colored or Indian. Like, this is the thing. If you looking in court records and you got the verification that's there, so these people don't exist. So this is the thing. Pillow Talk can't be from here, right? She must be a Moor or some sort of pirate, some kind of interloper European, because my people have court records that show who we are, right? And I'm not gonna not use my court records, to get my vindication of who I am. Like, that would be crazy, right? How are you going to say, oh, I'm not going to use the record because I ain't no Indian? That sounds nuts. Like, that's what the whole point of this whole live is, that it makes no sense for people to deny their heritage like Pillow Talk, because Pillow Talk ain't an Indian. She's a fraud. I mean, because anybody who's real is going to do real things. And anybody who's real is going to have real records. That's the thing. You're not gonna sit there and say, we weren't this and we weren't, because that's confusion. And you might not, Pillow Talk may have no real records. She hasn't done any real genealogy. She's talking about Seminole. She don't know what she is. So she's just a person that wants to be on the internet and important, who hasn't really done the background work. She's done all this filler information so she can spout off this stuff with venom and all this energy and dramatics. But when it comes to speaking, bare bone facts about yourself, it ain't there. You got no self-knowledge. You got no personal stories of anything that you're doing or done that actually can help somebody. Like, that's the thing. You can't help nobody, because all you're doing, because me hearing that, oh, the white folks weren't the white folks and this one wasn't any, what's that doing for anybody? Nothing. Not a doggone thing. It's not doing anything for anyone. Okay. But real records, you can fight with that. Real genealogy, you can do something with your real heritage. You can't do anything with all this rhetoric about what the Indian was, or what the white man came, and that ain't helping nobody. You might as well be talking about Africa and Shaka Zulu, as far as I'm concerned, because that is not really pertaining to my real identity. That's not real. But the reality of who I am really is I've got the records to prove, and these records say Indians, okay, all over the place. And this is where I'm at. My people are at. This is my homeland. This is our 650 acres, our daggone 1,600 acres. It's our stuff. No Pillow Talk. You ain't got nothing to talk about. You just talking about daggone people being Seminole, and you got a deed of Mobile. That's not the deed, the land deed. That's not. Is it say Indian? Did they say Negro? You can't claim it because you don't believe in Negro or colored or none of that Indian stuff. That's what you got. See, she don't know what she want to believe. So this is the thing. You have to use the real names. She can't sit up there and go to court and say she's Aboriginal and go in there and try to claim her black relative, because they don't match up. My Negro relative is my bloodline. My Indian relative is my bloodline. No matter what they put them as in the courts or in the daggone Census Bureau, my people are my people. And you can't divorce yourself from those terminologies if you are going to litigate to get your inheritance. You can't. You got to use the terminology that they used in the record. You think I'm going to go in there and say African American? You think I'm going to go in there and say Aboriginal? No, I'm saying the Indian in this document, that's my people. The Indian here, that's me. That's my heritage. You got to use the right terminology. Calling yourself Aboriginal, you ain't going to find that in the records. Do we have to do this again? We got to explain it for the slow people in the back? Do we got to go there?
No.
Do we? Because they act like they slow. They don't get it. Go ahead and just look in the colonial court records, okay? Look in the colonial court records and look for Aboriginal. Look for Aboriginal, and I wish you well, because you're not going to find no Aboriginal. You're not going to find it. Use the terminology. I mean, if you ain't got nothing, like Pillow Talk, she's just a commentator. If you ain't got nothing, then you can't claim nothing. If you don't have anything, you can't fight anything. But just because she ain't got nothing to fight for and she ain't got nothing to claim, that don't have to be you. You may have 600,000 acres. You may have 6,000 acres. You may have 2,000 acres. She may not have that, so she going to tell you you're Aboriginal and try to get you to think all kinds of other things when you should be focusing on your inheritance and getting it. You should be focusing on the terminology used in those court documents that's going to connect you to your ancestors. Point blank, period. Anybody telling you anything else is a distraction. They're just distracting you. She might be getting paid by the government. She might be an agent to pay to distract you. Because the only thing you should be focused on is your inheritance. And that involves you knowing who you are, knowing the names that your people were called by, and being able to trace yourself back to your ancestors, point blank, period. If she ain't talking about that, she ain't saying nothing to you. If she ain't talking about, she ain't saying nothing to you. You don't need to know about what the white people were and what the white people were doing and who came in where. You don't need to know about Ellis Island. Does that have anything to do with you? No. It sounds impressive, but it ain't got a doggone thing to do with you at all. So that's the thing. I'm the Ellis Island. That's what are you talking about, sis? My people didn't come in on Ellis Islands. Did yours? My records go way back. So I got to deal with the records that don't have nothing to do with whatever white folks did or didn't do. It don't have nothing to do with me because I am pinpoint focused on my ancestors because I am my ancestors. And my ancestors have a respect for one another and respect for people, and they don't try to take over and tell people what their history is. I speak for my own history. I ain't speaking for nobody else's, just mine. But I got a history to speak on. You're speaking in gross generalities that don't have nothing to do with nobody and ain't going to help nobody get nothing. When people come to me, I give them answers. I give them directions that will get them daggone results. I don't just talk for the sake of talking, and I don't talk them around the world about Ellis Island and things that don't apply to their getting their inheritance. I don't do that. I don't do it. I stay focused. And all these people that want to write daggone emails but don't want to come on the damn show because they ain't got nothing to say worth nothing. Don't waste my energy, man. Delete. These people are insane. They're slow in the brain. They're slow. Because the only factor that matters is your inheritance, your heritage, what is owed to you. And only you can get to that by knowing how the daggone navigate past the daggone misnomers, the names that your people were called by, whether it's Freedman, Mulatto, colored, Indian, black, whatever they're called. You got to stay focused on your bloodline. You got to stay focused on your bloodline. And anybody else that's telling you to do anything else, you're on our platform. Go to your own platform. You got Pillow Talk TV. Go talk some pillow talk. That's nasty. Ew. Whatever. Go do your pillow talk. Because
it's a bomb song.
Pillow talk is like you trying to talk nasty and get information while you laying in the bed with somebody. That's the time of person you are. You trying to get some pillow talk. That don't have nothing to do with real history and real facts. It's not respectable. It's a disrespectful title, like really. Like it don't have, I don't know why real indigenous people are listening to somebody talking about pillow talk, because pillow talk is you're laying in the bed and you're trying to get intel on somebody with your damn coochie. That's what you're trying to do.
What's wrong with that?
Nasty. See, half the people don't even know what pillow talk is. You might not even know. But that's what it is. You laying in the bed using your vagina to get information out of people. You covert, and you telling people in their face that you covert. That's the truth, y'all. This is the thing. We don't have time to waste. I got people that are doing real things, and what this energy is trying to pull us back, y'all. We got real people. I got people calling me every day. I don't charge people for help. I don't try to daggone pimp people for help. I don't run them around in circles. I tell them what exactly they need to do if they are for real trying to get their people together and get their real inheritance. This pillow talk, she's about bull crap. She's in the sheets trying to give up something, okay? She's trying to distract you with her daggone sex. That's what pillow talk is. Distractions. We need to be focused, because we got people that are really doing that. They are really getting their genealogy together, that are really finding out where their people are from. And then the next step they're going to do is find out their Indians and their real names of their Indian people. And they're going to get their people repatriated. Then we're about to get this stuff back that we're owed. We're not playing. We don't got time to be distracted by people that want to come in the chat and freaking distract us and shout stupid stuff about daggone Ellis Island. We don't got time, because we want to have something now. We want to win now. I have a real lawsuits going on now. We're fighting real fights with people in their faces now. What is she doing? Talking about Ellis Island. Please. That don't have nothing to do with us.
You called her a hoe.
I didn't call her a hoe. I just said she was in the sheets. She's a pillow talk. I didn't call her a hoe. I said, what is pillow talk? I was explaining it to people, because I don't think a lot of us understand what that really means. She probably doesn't. Why would you call yourself that? That's ew. Yuck. Ugh. Pillow talk? Like you're giving up your stuff for sex and information? You're giving up your sex to get some intel? Okay. Call yourself that. That's not me being disrespectful. I'm just explaining what the name means. I didn't choose it. Don't blame me for daggone interpreting what it is. That's what it is. But let's not be distracted by the pillow talk. The reality is that, look, these are the oldest court records. Everything in yellow is an Indian. This actually is talking. These are the orders that talk about the land that is owed to my people, to anybody of my heritage. Real people are working on real things. We ain't got time to talk about Ellis Island and what the white folks were doing. Who cares? Or when they got us and when they took it. I can tell you when they really got. You can't tell nothing, honey. You weren't there unless you're a witch or some kind of whatever, weirdo. Were you there? Weird. Were you everywhere? Huh? No one can tell you everything about anything. I specialize in what I'm supposed to specialize in, is knowing my folk. Shaw Q, he's got to know about his folk. Carrie, he got to know about the Lettahatchee. We all got to be the experts of ourselves.
Heru, the Copper Color God Knows Pillow Talk by Sylvia Robinson. Was that the cut, man, or what?
Y'all going back to the old school music. Hey, I guess it was the talk.
Yeah. Listen, y'all. All you got to do is go down to these counties, and you're going to find some rivers. You're going to find some streams. You're going to find some name of towns that your people come from.
Right.
They still got the names. They weren't called Aboriginal. They weren't called Moor, none of that. These are the names of people. And if you're in the South, you see them every day.
You know what? I ain't even worried about pillow talk because every day we talk. People come and hit us up and be doing real stuff. So for every person that's filling my daggone message box with some nonsense and distracting dumbness, and every person that tries to pop in the chat, talk some damn bull, there's about 10 people that are doing real work. And they ain't playing, baby. They are professional at it. They are working at it, okay? So while you trying to waste time and distract, fact is, Pillow Talk, real talk, Pillow Talk, is there are real people out here making gains. You can distract all you want to, agent. It ain't gonna work. Because these people are determined and they are getting the job done. It's too late. Too late for you to be in here talking your distracted with your takeover spirit, okay? Ain't happening. Go on and get with your daggone Chief Janice and all the rest of your fake folk. Go on in there strutting your daggone fake universe, okay? That's what y'all need to do. But the reality is, yeah, it's amazing how many people are actually doing the work, got their genealogy done, getting their daggone, getting all their information about their nation together, gathering their daggone families together, organizing their family reunions. They're getting that work done. Too late. They had to put the pillow talk in there. All right, that's all I got to say. Anything you got to say, Jay?
No, actually, anyway, as you were talking, that's true. You have to know your own history, and you do know your own history if you apply yourself. The legal community all the time tries to write your own history for you, using, words of art or word sorcery. We fall into these categories that they play these commercial games with. I recall hearing Moors try to say that everything is in commerce, just to show you who these people really are as pirates, privateers, traders, and thieves. They want to trip you off of your land. Everything's in commerce. Who says that? Where did that come from?
Pirates, yeah, pirates say that, and this is the thing, the reality, boo, hey, I ain't got nothing, I ain't insecure about a doggone thing, especially when it has to do with my family and who I am. What you need to worry about is, what are you doing? Why are you on this platform? Why did you even pop your head in here? Why are you still in the chat? You're so offended, go. You don't got to stay in the chat. You need attention. You're attention seeking. What we need to be seeking is our repatriation. What we need to be seeking is our ancestral heritage, our land, our rights, our daggone. We need to be changing the world for the future generations. That's what we need to be focused on, not on sitting up here being like takeover spirit in somebody else's chat trying to blow up the spot. Weirdo, find something to do worthwhile. You know, find something else to do. You could be the next Tasha K. I believe that. Go for it. Be all you can be. But right now, we're just going to close on the fact that the reality is we know that the records don't show any Aborigines. It shows Indians. The records don't show will show us being called several things. But we need to be able to speak clearly what we are. That's the problem with all these people trying to repatriate these Native American, or not repatriate, join these Native American tribes. They don't know that the freedmen is them. If you don't know what a freedman is, that a freedman is the Indian. If you don't know that every other name that you're being called, and be able to speak and prove and show and prove that is you, that's your ancestor, you cannot fight this fight. You got to go beyond the witchcraft, the written witchcraft that they put in these documents. You got to be like, that's me right there. And yeah, that's me. And that's me because this is where my people resigned. This is my people in the courts. This is my people's surnames, not yours. These are my people's laws that allow my people to go up there and fight for their land. Yeah, you got to be able to speak the truth to the fake power that's out there. You got to speak your power. You have to speak your power, and in order to speak your power, you have to know your power. In order to know your power, you got to know exactly who all you are, which is every freaking ancestor that is inside of you. And you got to know them by every name they were called, because they can't fool you. That's it.
Listen, finding your family is easier than you think. Just follow the women. The women are the ones who have the babies. That's where you come from. All these rivers and streams and lakes and stuff. Many of these streets are named after these mountains. That's where you're going to find your folks. Get on it, y'all. Time's wasting. You guys have a good night. Peace.
Peace.